episode of Maleficent Mondays. Illumineers, thank you for joining me once again. Um, we have a lot of cards to go over, probably about 10 days worth. I'm going to bring up some of the terminology in trading card games as we go along. So I'm going to start here with Merlin Self Appointed Mentor. 4 cost inkable, um, 3 strength, 4 willpower, 1 lore, and has the support keyword. These are common. Um, we've only seen one other card with support in this set, and I like Merlin better than I do Hee Hee, only because it's a quite a bump in strength. So when the support keyword is when this character quests, you may add their strength to chosen character strength this turn. So what this allows you to do is make a character that could not challenge and banish an opponent's character be able to do so. Um, we call this trading up, which means something that costs, let's say, a character that costs, let's say, 3 ink to play, is trying to challenge a character that costs 5 ink. And normally it would not be able to banish it, but thanks to Merlin questing, it now has an additional 3 strength, so it can now trade you're trading a 3 cost character for a 5 cost character. We call that trading up. Um, I like this. I like this common. I just don't know where it fits exactly. But being able to continue to quest and still disrupt your opponent's board without losing too many resources is very good. Next up, we have Befuddle. It's a 1 cost inkable amethyst action. Return character or item card cost 2 or less to their player's hand. So I'll use a term from Magic. We call this bouncing, um, and obviously in this case has targeting a card in play. Now you can use this both offensively by, say, returning a character like the Simba with Protector to your opponent's hand, so that you can then challenge the character that they're trying to protect. You can also use this on your own cards. For example, if you're using the Belle or the Maurice or the 4 cost Ariel that readies when you play an item, you can return an item that you have in play to your hand, replay the item, and be able to use the effects again and get extra abilities. Next up is probably I'll say the biggest spoiler of the week. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, 6 cost inkable steel, 4 strength, 5 willpower, 2 lore, has shift 4. The ability Rock the Boat. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. And Puny Pirate. During your turn, when this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may deal 2 damage to chosen opposing character. It is a super rare. So there's a lot of text on this card. This card has what is called AOE, or Area of Effect. It's typically, this is a video game term, when you are dealing damage to multiple things at once. You could also call it collateral damage, several different things, but what makes this card, besides it deals 1 damage to each opposing character and the additional ability, when it banishes another character in a challenge, you deal 2 to another character, is the fact that we have a 3-cost Tinkerbell, Tiny Tactician, that you can play on turn 3, and then on turn 4, you can shift into this Tinkerbell, deal 1 damage to each opposing character, so none of yours. Challenge an opposing character if they haven't, if they have committed anybody. Banish that character, and then potentially banish another character in the same turn. Now, yes, this is going to be telegraphed. Telegraphing is when basically you're showing your opponent what you may be doing ahead of time. Almost like, yes, I just played a Tiny Tactician, I'm probably going to play a Tinkerbell next turn. You better not exert anybody, or things are going to get messy. But it's a fantastic card. My only concern is, I think the shift cost should have been 1 more, and maybe the regular ink cost should have been 1 more. Other than that, it does a very good job of dealing with the quick, aggressive decks that we talked about in the last episode, when we're talking about the 1-costed 1/1s with that have 2 lore. So be on the watch out for this one. Next up, we have Simba, Protective Cub, 2-cost, inkable, amber. It's 2 strength, 3 willpower, and 1 lore with bodyguard. This was the type of character that the quick, aggressive decks that were running Maleficent Biding Your Time, Pascal, and any of the decks that are running cheap characters would have 2 lore. We needed more of these cheap bodyguards, and so Amber Amethyst got something very useful in this Simba. Next up is Kronk, and oh yeah, it's all coming together. So this is an uncommon 6-cost inkable 6/6 and 2 lore. Nothing, nothing major. He basically his stats and his cost match. Having 2 lore is good. Uncommon, so you're liable to get see this in a sealed pool or a draft. Fairly easy. Constructed playable. Probably might be playable in the first set. It's going to depend what the other cards that we're gonna see. We've still got about 70 cards or so left to see. But he's a decent card. Everything else seems to fit correctly. Next up, we have Pongo, Old Rascal. It's a 4-cost inkable 2/3 with 2 lore, which is huge, and evasive. What we've noticed with all of the evasive characters is their stats are always lower than their costs compared to characters of the same cost. But having the 2 lore is huge. I definitely think Ruby is going to be in the market for a deck that's going to be running a lot of evasive characters because they have a lot of 2 lore. Now, it's getting to those costs that's going to be important. Right now, there's only 2 colors that have any sort of ramp spells. In other words, for my last video, ramp spells are the ones to make put extra resources into play or reduce costs of cards so that you can get them into play sooner. Obviously, right now that's Amber, who has a Lantern, and Sapphire, that has 1 jump ahead, and Mickey Mouse Detective. Be on the lookout for those. Alright, so now we have Lilo Making a Wish, 1 cost, non-inkable, 1/1 with 2 lore. It's basically Baby Maleficent. Um, if you're playing an aggressive deck, you're probably in the market to run 8 of these into your 2 cost Simba um, to protect those so that you can gain lore very quickly. Now that you are aware that we have a card like um, Tinkerbell, Giant Fairy, that can wreck your board, um, you have to be a little more careful. But I believe um, if you're uh, if you're interested in this style of deck, you're probably going to want to play as many of low cost, high lore characters as you can. Alright, next up is a pair of guys. I'll talk about them separately, but they are really cool designs. So we have Flotsam, Ursula Spy. This is a 5 cost, non inkable 3/4 with 2 lore, has rush, and has the ability your character's name Jetsam gain rush. And then its partner in crime is Jetsam, Ursula Spy, 4 cost inkable, 3/3, 1 lore, evasive, and your character named Flotsam gain evasive. So, again, I think these are really cool, innovative designs. It makes sense that they help out each other. Flotsam is a rare. Uh, it's interesting that he has both rush and 2 lore, and Jetsam has evasive and 1 lore. Again, I think that's intentional. Um, there are some decks that's going to want to play Jetsam, even if it doesn't have, even if they don't play Flotsam. But you're either going to play. I think you're either going to play both, or you're going to play Jetsam, because evasive, evasive is a great ability, and right now, while slightly understated, this is better than some of the evasive characters. Alright, next up is Triton the Sea King, 7 cost inkable, 5/9 with 2 lore, and is an uncommon. This one's nothing to write home about. Being other than being 2 lore uh, in a color that can ramp, it's going to depend on the other ink color that you're pairing with this. I think there are better options, particularly at this cost. Alright, next up is another AoE card, or area of effect. We have Grab Your Sword. It's a 5 cost steel action song. Deal 2 damage to each opposing character. This is a rare. So between this and Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, this is the type of card that is made to slow down aggressive decks. And so these type of cards have to exist to keep aggressive decks in check. Now, right now, that's the only 2 we've seen. You can play 3 copies or 4 copies of each. So I think I'll make 12% of your deck. So there are some control mechanics that you can have, but with this being one-sided, only hitting your opponent characters, this could be beneficial where you can be an aggressive deck, then play these cards and clear your opponent's board, and then continue to add to your lore count. Alright, next up is Anna, heir to Ariandel, 4 cost inkable, 2/4. Amethyst, Storyborn Hero Queen. When you play this character, if you have a character named Elsa in play, choose an opposing character. The chosen character does not ready at the start of their next turn. Also has 2 lore. So she pairs well with the 3-cost Elsa that exerts another character in play. But because this is named Elsa, it will work with any Elsa, no matter what the subtitle is. And we know of at least 1, if not 2 more Elsas in this set. So I like future-proofing. This ability freezes the character, pun intended, which is very advantageous for you. You don't even have to challenge it and try to get it off the board the first turn. You can simply continue what your other game plan until you can either find an answer for it or play another Anna. Alright, next up we're going to talk about the new ability that was dropped this week. We have Ariel Spectacular Singer, 3-cost inkable, 2/3, 1 lore, Amber Storyborn Hero Princess, Singer 5. This character counts as cost 5 to sing songs. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a song card and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is also a super rare. So this is a fantastic theme, and I expect to see other princesses with this ability now or in the future. The body, for the most part, is semi-irrelevant, because the reason you're playing her is being able to cheat out songs, and the fact that her ability might replace the card in hand that you use to play her. Those type of effects are powerful in games where you're basically trading one card for another card. Now, the biggest issue right now is we only have a couple of cards that are songs that cost 5. Now I think we have one that costs 4. Everything else is 3 or 2. So this is part of a larger theme, maybe a more long-term theme, but I'm excited to brew around this at some point. Next up, we have the very flavorful Gaston, Arrogant Hunter. This is a Ruby Storyborn villain, 2-cost inkable, 4/2 with 0 lore, and has Reckless. So everything about this is a well-designed card based on story. It's an interesting common. The biggest issue with Gaston is if you play him, he has Reckless. So unless you find a way to exert him during your next turn, he is going to be forced to challenge somebody, and they could run their flounder under the bus and it be the only character that is exerted, and Gaston has traded down. He's 2-cost, flounders are 1-cost, which is not great. Now if you want a Q trick, if you're playing this paired with Amethyst and using the White Rabbit's Pocket Watch, basically for 3 ink, you have a 4 strength challenger that can come down and activate the watch, use Rush, challenge a character, and get it off the board. We'll see where he ends up, but it's flavor anyway, and artwork is amazing. Sebastian, Court Composer. Oh, my nerves are shot. A 2-cost inkable 2/2 Storyborn ally Amber, 1 lore, and Singer 4. So again, this plays into the Singer mechanic. We don't have enough songs to really evaluate this properly. It's a decent body for a two coster, although there are some 2-costers that are 2/3s. So the bad part is Flounder gets to body him, which is kind of funny. All right, next up from the group of previews, we have Ursula's Shell Necklace. I knew I was going to butcher that. This is an amber item, 3 cost. It's not inkable. It's a rare. Whenever you play a song, you may pay 1 ink to draw a card. Now, this is the type of engine that I love. So now you have multiple of these in play. You can play a song. As you resolve that song, like Friends on the Other Side, you get to draw 2 cards, and then you get to decide, okay, do I pay 1 to draw an additional card? And then you will do that for each of the shell necklaces. Again, this is a wonderfully designed theme that may take several sets to show full fruition of a powerful deck. But I like the design and the thought process that's happened with us. Now we get to probably the most important action card that we've seen so far. Yeah, I know this is 100+ cards, and I'm saying that, but this is pretty important. We have Fan the Flames. It's a ruby action, 1-cost, inkable, uncommon, ready chosen character. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Now, what makes this card so powerful is the versatility. You can ready another player's character on your turn. So say a bodyguard character, they only have 1 exerted in play. You can ready theirs. Now the bodyguard is no longer protecting the characters that he is supposed to protect, and now you can freely attack the characters that you want to, that are exerted, that you want to banish. The other combo-ness of this card, you can quest or challenge with a character, and then you don't want to leave it in its vulnerable state, so you just play this to ready it and leave it in a ready state so your opponent cannot challenge it the next turn. The other ability, or the other thought process, is you can quest once, ready, and then challenge. Most of the characters that this card is really ridiculous with are all characters that want to challenge. So we have our 7-drop Aladdin that has shift, that when he banishes a character, you gain 2 lore and your opponent loses 2 lore. Being able to ready him and then challenge a second time, and there's an 8-point swing of lore. You gained 4, your opponent lost 4, is bonkers. You also have Mulan, that when she banishes a character for winning a challenge, all your other characters get +1 lore. So being able to challenge with her twice gives everybody else +2 lore that turn. Can absolutely turn a game on its head. The last one that is probably I'd put in the brutal pile is the Tinkerbell that we saw earlier, Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. Um, as you can, if you've if you've if it's ink dry and you can challenge, being able to challenge twice in the same turn, you can banish one character, deal 2 damage to something else, which could potentially banish that character, and then you could ready her and do it again. Getting 4 characters off the table, I mean, that is a massive. This will be, in my opinion, I think this will be a chase uncommon. If it's not Baroque, this is a Sapphire action, 3 cost, not inkable, rare. Return an item card from your discard to your hand. So this one has several strikes against it. Obviously, the non-inkable 3 cost is a problem, and the fact that it puts it back into your hand. Obviously, there are cards that remove items, and you may want to get an item back from your discard pile. Right now, we only have one that comes in play, and you banish it from play to do an effect. That's Frying Pan. If we have more of those, where you could do a full suite of being able to play it, recur it, play it again, use it again, etc., this is pretty good. Right now, I'll have to leave this on the shelf in a binder. Alright, this is the last of the official spoilers from the week. This is Break, a steel action, 2 cost inkable common, banish chosen item. So now we have a baseline action that we can put in our decks to banish an item. Right now, the only item banisher that we have is also in steel, Beast, but that's a 5 cost 4/4. So we'll see where this fits in the whole meta. If it's an item-based meta, you're probably going to want to play it. If it's not, then you may not. Alright, let's get to the 4 that we had today from, or yesterday from the invite-only event in Germany. So we've got these spoilers courtesy of Artem, Whipple, Tales of Alex. There's a blue million of the European community that have posted these on Twitter and in the Discord. These are in German, and so we kind of have a rough translation of each of these. This is a rare Sapphire Maleficent Uninvited, 5 cost inkable, 3/6, but it has 3 lore. Now, there are already several Maleficents in set 1. All of them are thematic. They're beautifully drawn. I love all of them. But if you look at the Maleficent that I'm using as a background here, this one is a 4 cost 3/4 with 2 lore. This one's a 5 cost 3/6 with 3 lore. I have a feeling that this Maleficent is going to see play. While she has no other game text, a 3/6 for 5, so we have 2 more willpower and 1 more lore on this character for 1 additional cost. So this is going to be it's going to be a pain to deal with, because you can get to 5 pretty quick in Sapphire. Alright, next up we also have a exciting new Aladdin. This should translate to Aladdin Street Rat. This is a 3 cost inkable ruby, 2/2 with 1 lore. And when Aladdin comes into play, each other player loses 1 lore, and it's a common. So again, we have the sort of the theft mechanic, or the maybe not the theft mechanic on this one, but he goes around and he messes with lore, and this is was this the third? Okay, we get Rapunzel, we've got this Aladdin, we've got the 7-drop Aladdin that mess with other players' lore totals. So seems like we have a very nice theme for Ruby here. Um, yeah, a little understated, but there's a reason for that, and it's the interplay ability. Next up is Prince Philip, and this should approximately translate to Dragon Tamer. Um, a 4-cost non-inkable 3/3 in Amber with 2 lore, and his ability roughly translates um, to when Prince Philip challenges a character. If Prince Philip is banished in that challenge, the character he challenged is also banished. So he's a slightly worse version of Cheshire Cat, because he has to be the one attacking and whatever, or challenging, and if he if he is if he challenges someone and loses the challenge, he gets to take the character down with him. Effectively, from Magic, that's kind of like Death Touch, but not exactly. But flavor-wise, he can swing into Maleficent in dragon form. Prince Philip will lose the challenge and be banished, and he'll take Maleficent with him. Alright, this is the last card from the last 10 days or so. This is the Musketeers Talbot. It is a 4-cost non-inkable steel item, and this is all for one and one for all. When one of your characters with bodyguard is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. So obviously we know 2 of the 3 Musketeers. We haven't seen the Donald yet. 2 of them have bodyguard, and we've got 2 more characters with bodyguard. Hercules in steel and Simba in amber. Being able to recoup cards when one of those bodyguard characters is banished is really good. Now 4 cost is quite a bit, but we have a 2 cost, a 3 cost, and then we have a 5 cost and a 7 cost. Those are the 4 bodyguards that we have currently. So this might fit right in to help you recoup from those. We'll see what kind of deck this sort of floats in, but it's a nice piece to work around. Alright guys, I appreciate you joining me here on Maleficent Mondays. Come back next week. Hopefully we'll have a lot more to talk about. This was a lot today. I'm happy to impugn my knowledge of CCG concepts as we go along. Until next time, no matter the game, there is no escape from the tiger.